I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who got betrayed like this, but here I am. My name's Jake, and I was married to Emily for just over a year. We had what looked like a perfect life. Beautiful wedding, honeymoon in the Bahamas, the whole fairy tale, and I honestly thought we were solid. She was the typical high-maintenance, bitchy wife, often controlling, quick to lie, but I always told myself she loved me, and that was enough. From the start, I noticed some weird things. Emily started to get distant not long after we returned from the honeymoon. She'd cancel plans last minute, behave strangely around her phone, and sometimes she'd be overly defensive when I asked what was wrong. I brushed it off as stress or work, but deep down I knew something was off. Still, I was committed to making it work, convinced that maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention or that she was just stressed about her job. Then, about 2 months ago, she started acting even more bizarre. She'd leave her phone on silent, hide her screen when I walked into the room, and once I caught her deleting messages. I confronted her and she snapped at me, calling me paranoid, accusing me of spying. I wasn't exactly proud of what I did next. I installed a discreet app on her phone. I wasn't trying to be a creep, but I just needed to know what was going on. What I found was a shock. Hidden in her messages were conversations with a guy I didn't even know, her best man from the wedding, Mark. It wasn't just innocent flirting either. They were talking about meeting up, about how much they missed each other when she was away. I felt a cold sweat break out. I couldn't believe my wife was cheating on me during what was supposed to be the happiest time of my life. I remember feeling numb, like the floor had dropped out from under me. I didn't confront her immediately. I wanted to be sure. I went through more messages, details about their plans, the secret rendezvous they'd had, even parts about the sex they'd shared. Hell, she was full-on cheating. It wasn't just an affair. It was a full-blown betrayal, and she was lying her ass off about everything. When I finally sat her down and showed her what I'd discovered, her reaction was nothing short of a circus. She looked me right in the eyes and lied, said I was imagining things, that Mark was just a friend, and I was making a big deal out of nothing. But I wasn't stupid. I knew better. The signs, the messages, the way she kept her phone hidden, everything clicked into place. That's when I realized she'd been cheating on me the entire time I was back home dealing with her fake pregnancy. Yeah, she told me she was pregnant and it was mine. I guess she thought I'd be too caught up to notice her sneaking around with Mark. It still hurts to think about how she played me so well, lied straight to my face, and then tried to keep everything hidden. I was shattered. That's when I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just let her get away with this. I needed a plan, something to make her regret what she'd done, and maybe, just maybe, teach her a lesson she wouldn't forget. After I confronted her with the proof, Emily's face twisted into this fake, bitchy little smirk. She didn't even try to deny it at first. Instead, she looked at me like I was some kind of idiot who couldn't handle the truth. "Oh, please, Jake, you think I didn't know you'd find out? Honestly, I was just waiting for you to grow a backbone and ask me. Mark and I were just having fun. It's not a big deal." She said it so nonchalantly, like she was bragging about some kind of victory. I've got to admit, I was furious, but more than that, I felt betrayed on every level. How could she stand there and lie to my face after everything? I thought I knew her, thought we had some kind of trust. Clearly, I was dead wrong. The way she dismissed the whole thing, acting like it was nothing, made me realize she thought she could keep screwing around with no consequences, that she could just lie and I'd never find out. Well, she was wrong. I told her I'd had enough, that I wasn't going to sit around and get played like some fool. I told her I was done with her bullshit, that I wanted answers, and that I was going to figure out what to do next. But inside, I was just a mess. I felt like the ground was shaking beneath me. I was angry, yes, but I also felt this deep, aching sadness. I'd loved her. I thought I was building something real with her, and now I was left with nothing but a shattered heart and a stupid question. How did I miss all the signs? How could she do this to me during the honeymoon, while I was dealing with her fake pregnancy? I kept thinking I was the crazy one for trusting her, while she was out there lying, cheating, screwing around right under my nose. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything she said, every lie, every glance she gave Mark. I was trying to make sense of it, trying to see if I'd missed some sign or if I was just blind. But the truth was, I wasn't blind. I was just in love. And love, I've learned, makes you stupid sometimes. I also learned she's a master at hiding her true colors. She's bitchy, manipulative, and incredibly good at lying to your face while stabbing you in the back. I started planning my next move, how I was going to get her to admit everything, how I'd make her pay for the pain she caused me. I wasn't just going to walk away and say, oh well, no. She needed to feel the full weight of what she'd done. I didn't have a clear plan yet, but I knew I wanted her to suffer, to realize she couldn't keep screwing around with my feelings and get away with it. I wanted her to know that her lies had consequences, and I was finally ready to see this through, no matter how much it hurt. I spent the next few days trying to keep it together, but honestly I was falling apart inside. Every time I saw her, I felt this mixture of rage and heartbreak. She acted like nothing had changed, still bitchy, still throwing her fits, still lying about everything. But I saw through it now. I saw the sneer when she thought I wasn't looking, the way she avoided my eyes when I brought up things, and that little smirk she had when she thought she was getting away with her bullshit. I knew I needed a plan. I wasn't just going to confront her again and hope she'd suddenly change. That's when I started digging deeper. I decided to follow her one afternoon, see where she was sneaking off to. I followed her to a fancy hotel downtown, one I knew she'd never admit to going to alone. I parked a few blocks away, watched her get out of her car, and saw her go inside with Mark. They didn't even bother to hide it. They were loud, laughing, holding hands, acting like they owned the place. Seeing that made my stomach turn. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about everything I'd seen and heard. How the hell could she do this to me? During the honeymoon, while I was back home dealing with her pregnancy, she was out screwing Mark. She didn't give a damn about what I'd feel or what I thought. All she cared about was her own pleasure, her own lies. I felt like such an idiot for trusting her, for thinking I had a marriage worth saving. All those years, all that love I thought I had was just a game for her. She was the real bitch and I was the fool. In that moment, I decided I'd had enough. No more sneaking around, no more pretending that everything was fine. I was going to expose her, make her see how cruel she'd been. I wanted her to realize I wasn't some sucker she could use and toss aside. I needed her to face the consequences of her actions, even if that meant going nuclear. I started gathering proof, screenshots, recordings, everything I could find. I wanted to make sure she couldn't deny anything when I was ready, but I also knew I had to prepare myself emotionally. I was hurt, yes, but I couldn't let her see that. I had to be cold, calculated, like I was planning some kind of revenge. I didn't want her to walk all over me anymore. I wanted her to see that I was serious, that I'd fight for myself, even if it meant breaking her in the process. Because at this point, I felt like she'd already broken me, and I was just figuring out how to get back up. I knew it wouldn't be easy. I knew I'd have to be ruthless, but I also knew that I was done being naive about her. She was a bitch, and I was finally starting to see her for what she really was. Over the next few days, I stayed quiet, observing her patterns, gathering more evidence, and planning my next move. I knew I couldn't just confront her blindly, not without a solid plan. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some fool anymore, that I had her figured out. I kept thinking about how she lied so easily, how she could look me in the eyes and still keep up her act. It made me sick. That bitch had been screwing around behind my back since before the wedding, probably even during it, while I was busy planning the perfect day for her. One night I decided I'd had enough of the bullshit. I sat her down, looked her straight in the eyes, and told her I knew everything. I showed her the screenshots, the calls, the messages. Her face went blank at first, like she didn't expect me to be this serious. Then her bitchy attitude kicked in. She rolled her eyes, scoffed, and started lying again. Oh, Jake, you're overreacting. It's just sex, just some fun. Mark means nothing. She did her best to shrug it off, acting like I was making a mountain out of a molehill. I couldn't believe her audacity. I felt my blood boiling. How could she sit there and lie to my face after everything I'd shown her? I told her I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. You had sex with Mark during my honeymoon while I was back home dealing with your fake pregnancy. That's what you call just fun. You lied to everyone, lied to me, and you're still trying to act like I'm the crazy one. Her reaction was a bitter smirk. You're just jealous, Jake. Mark and I, we've got something real. You're just too blind to see it. That was the moment I knew I had to hit her where it hurt. I told her I was done with her lies, that I was planning to leave her, that I was going to take everything, my dignity, my money, whatever I had left, and walk away. I wanted her to understand that her selfish game was over. She looked furious, trying to argue, but I saw the cracks in her facade. She was scared, maybe even starting to realize she'd gone too far. That night I started making arrangements, getting a lawyer, packing a bag, planning how I'd leave without her knowing exactly when. I wanted her to feel the panic, the regret, the fear of losing her little empire. I didn't care about her excuses anymore. Honestly, I never had. I just wanted her to see that I was serious, that I wasn't going to be her fool any longer. I was tired of the lies, tired of the betrayal, and most of all, tired of feeling like I was nothing but a joke to her. This whole thing has changed me. I can feel it. I used to think love was enough, but now I see it was just a distraction. Emily showed me what a bitch she really is, and I've realized I need to take back control of my life. Whatever happens next, I know I won't be the same person I was before. She's broken me in a way, but I'll rebuild, stronger, smarter, and with a whole new perspective on what a real relationship should be. The day I finally decided to leave, everything felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I knew I had to do it quickly, so I waited until she was out running errands. I packed my things, clothes, some important documents, a few keepsakes, and made sure I had all the evidence laid out to show her. I didn't want to just sneak out quietly. I wanted her to see that I was done playing her game. When she came home that afternoon, she was her usual bitchy self, throwing attitude around, acting like she was the queen of everything. I just looked at her and told her I was leaving. No big speech, no dramatic scene, just cold and clear. I said, "You lied, you cheated, and I'm not staying around to be your punching bag anymore. I've got enough proof to show everyone what you really are." Her eyes widened, and for a second she looked genuinely scared, like she realized she'd finally pushed me too far. She tried to act like it was no big deal, that I was overreacting, but her voice cracked. I told her I didn't want her excuses, and I deserved better than a bitch who screws around during my honeymoon and then lies about it. I told her she's a manipulative, selfish bitch who thought she could get away with everything. Then I dropped the bag, turned around, and walked out the door. I didn't look back. Once I was outside, I felt this crazy mix of relief and devastation. Part of me wanted to run back to take her in my arms and pretend everything was fine. But another part of me knew I'd been fooling myself for too long. She didn't love me. She loved the control, the lies, the thrill of cheating. That's how she kept her power over me. I realized that I'd been a fool for loving someone so bitchy, so manipulative. I went straight to my brother's place and stayed there for a few days. I needed space to breathe, to process everything. I sent her a message, short, to the point, telling her I was done, that I'd file for divorce and to never contact me again. I didn't want her to have the satisfaction of knowing I was hurting. I just wanted her to know I was finally free from her bullshit. The aftermath was brutal. She called, leaving angry messages, begging me to come back, crying, accusing me of ruining her life. But I didn't care. I knew now that she was a bitch who didn't deserve anything from me. I've never felt so betrayed and so angry in my life. But at the same time, I felt a strange sense of relief, like I'd finally taken back control. Looking back, I realized I should have seen it coming. The signs, the lies, the sneaking around. But I was blinded by love, by the hope that maybe, just maybe, she'd change. Turns out she's just a manipulative bitch who wanted to keep her little affair hidden at all costs. And I was just too stupid to see it until she crossed the line during my honeymoon. Now I'm left picking up the pieces. Honestly, I don't know what's next. All I know is I'm done letting her ruin me. I'll rebuild my life, but I swear I'll never trust that bitch again. The days that followed were a jumbled mess of relief, anger, and a strange sense of clarity. I stayed mostly alone, trying to piece my head back together. I still can't believe I let her get away with so much for so long. That bitch Emily, she thought she was untouchable because she could lie and manipulate anyone. She was good at it, so good that I almost convinced myself I was crazy. But now I see everything clearly. She's just a selfish, bitchy woman who wanted her cake and to eat it too, even if it meant destroying everything I ever believed in. The divorce is underway now. I've hired a lawyer and it's just a matter of time before I cut all ties. I don't miss her, not one bit. Honestly, I don't even want to see her again. Her lies, her cheating, her false tears, it was all just part of her game. I'm not angry anymore, I'm just disappointed. Disappointed that I ever trusted her, that I ever thought love could make up for her bitchy ways. Looking back, I realize I was naive. I thought love was enough. That if I loved her enough, she'd change, but she didn't. She only got worse, more manipulative, more selfish. Now I see her for what she truly is, a manipulative, lying, cheating bitch who thought she could get away with anything. Well, she did, until I finally woke up and took control. I've learned a lot from this nightmare. Mostly that you can't fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. That love alone isn't enough to save a sinking ship if the other person is hell-bent on sinking it. And that trust, once broken, is almost impossible to repair. I don't regret loving her, but I do regret ignoring all the signs and letting her walk all over me for so long. Now I'm focusing on myself. I'm rebuilding piece by piece. I've started seeing a counselor, something I should have done long ago, to deal with the betrayal and my own feelings. I won't lie, it still hurts, but I know I'll get through it. I'll come out stronger on the other side with a new outlook on life and relationships. The biggest lesson I take away from all this is simple. Never ignore the warning signs. Don't let love blind you to the truth. And never, ever let a bitch like Emily think she can get away with everything. I'll never trust so blindly again. I'll never let someone manipulate me like that. For anyone reading this who might be going through their own betrayal, just remember, you're not alone. It hurts like hell, but you'll survive. And someday, you'll look back and realize that you're better off without the lies, the cheating, the manipulative bitch who thought she could walk all over you. Because at the end of the day, your happiness and self-respect matter more than any fake love or empty promises. I'm done with her. Done with the pain. And finally, done with trusting the wrong people. Life goes on. And maybe, just maybe, I'll find someone who actually deserves my trust and my love.